Hello and welcome to another episode of Blue Alpine TV. In today's episode, we'll talk about the potential IPO of Bitmain. We have seen new documents that show that Bitmain has sent an application to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So let's get started with this first news story. So Bitmain is pretty much the biggest hardware producer of ASICs miners in the world. And a lot of people have been waiting for this IPO, be it to invest into the company or be it to see where and how high the revenues of Bitmain really are. We've officially seen some numbers. Some came from the news, some came from Bitmain directly. But if you want to apply to a stock exchange, you always have to bring out entirely the revenues and kind of what parts of the business are generating how much revenue and all of these things. So yesterday, I think there was an application for the Hong Kong Stock Exchange by Bitmain. So it's a Beijing based company, and what they have shown is quite impressive. Obviously, there were also some rumors. We talked about this a couple of weeks, if not months ago, that Bitmain doesn't want to do an IPO this year because the revenues have decreased compared to last year. As you remember, last year was a fairly crazy year in terms of revenue, in terms of trading as well. So the ASICs miner revenue was quite high. Now in this year, or actually for this application, we can see that, and by the way, I will share this document with you, but it's like 438 pages, so I'm not sure whether everyone wants to go through this. Also, what is really important, a lot of the numbers are still redacted, meaning they want to keep it from the public, meaning the number of shares and other kind of numbers in order to kind of hide the valuation still. Nonetheless, some of the most interesting numbers here we have marked here for the podcast listeners. We are on CoinDesk currently looking at a bit at the different numbers that they have shared in the document. So we see here, according to the filing, the firm made a total of 2.5 billion in revenue in 2017, a major increase from the 227 million in revenue it generated over the course of 2016. As of June 30 this year, Bitmain has made 2.8 billion dollars in revenue, meaning the revenue numbers are actually quite similar. Now, keep in mind that this year still has about 3 months to go. So it could be that, or should be actually, that the revenue will be higher because as a company, you always want to show growth for the potential investors. Now, if this number wouldn't be higher than the revenue numbers from last year, it would actually be a little bit off. What would be really interesting, but I don't have enough knowledge here, would be to kind of look at these numbers from a pure accounting perspective and understand whether they moved some numbers around in order to make the revenue look a bit nicer compared to last year's revenue numbers. But I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm just saying that this could be the case for a potential IPO. Says here, of that revenue, Bitmain grossed profits of $1 billion last year and about $1 billion for the first half of 2018, up from $151 million over 2016. Before taxes, the numbers were $137 million in 2016, 897 million in 2017, and 907 million for the first half of 2019. Obviously, these are super high numbers. Also compare them to like 2 years ago, and the jump is quite incredible, almost 10x in revenue increase, if you will. Says here as well, the prospectus states that after adjusting for costs and expenses, Bitmain's net profits were 48.6 million in 2015, 113.5 million in 2016, $952.5 million in 2017, and 952.1 million in Q2 alone of 2018. Now again, if we look at the kind of the profits, these are very close to the 2017 numbers, and Bitmain will have to show kind of a small growth curve to make up for that 2018 loss. I guess one of the reasons why they have less money or less cash in assets is also that they have reported an 886.9 million balance of cryptocurrencies denominated in Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ether, Litecoin, and Dash as of June 30th, after factoring in a net loss of 102.7 million over the last 6 months, more than 10 times the net losses on previous years of holdings. Now, what is interesting here is Bitmain does accept cryptocurrencies as a form of payment for their ASIC miners. So this number very clearly increased. However, because since the beginning of the year the numbers have gone down, that means that the assets, if you will, on Bitmain's charts are also going down because the cryptocurrencies do lose in value. But it is definitely higher than in the last year. You can see here cryptocurrency holdings were previously valued at 56.3 million and 872.6 million, or 30% of assets by the end of 2016 and 17 respectively. So there's definitely an increase of people who have paid with cryptocurrencies. Now imagine if the numbers would have been back to the beginning of the 2018 year, and those numbers would surely be over a billion easy. Now, we can also see that the main kind of revenue comes from hardware sales. The number of hardware products sold rose in line with the revenue. Bitmain sold 230,000 miners in 2015, 260,000 miners in 2016, 1.62 million miners in 2017, and as of Q2 2018, 2.56 million miners. And for 2017, 27% of the funds it received from mining hardware customers came in the form of cryptocurrency. So as you can see, the numbers here increased as well. And the numbers will only increase if the interest for cryptocurrency mining or cryptocurrencies in general will be generally quite high. Now, this is in decline or flat, let's say. So there is like this general stagnation going on in the markets. Everyone is expecting that the numbers are going up again. And if those numbers do go up, then definitely these numbers will go up for Bitmain as well. What is interesting as well, and sorry, I'm a bit, I think I caught the flu here. Bitmain has been scooping up land in China to build domestic cryptocurrency mining farm sites. The filing claims Bitmain owns 2 land parcels in Inner Mongolia with the sizes of 31,000 square meters and 45,000 square meters. A third parcel in Ningxia that is 33,000 square meters, a large, and a fourth in Sichuan of 9,000 square meter footage. So what is interesting here is, and it kind of connects to the last video that we made about China, is that although a lot of people are saying, yeah, China banned cryptocurrencies, Bitmain is scooping up land left and right, is working out of Beijing, and is planning actually to be listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So there is definitely kind of an okay sign from the Chinese government for Bitmain to still execute as a company. So it's not all just negative in general. Now, obviously, in order to reach such a big company and these numbers, Bitmain did have to have some kind of investment. And in total, they have received around 790 million in US dollars over the last, I want to say, 2 to 3 years approximately. So first 50 million in a Series A, then 292 million in a Series B, and then there was also a post Series B, which was pre-IPO, with 422 million US dollars. And that's quite interesting because obviously if you make about $1 billion in revenue, then this number is not that high, because it just shows that the company can make this kind of money back. Now, what will be interesting is to see at what valuation the company will be listed at, and these are exactly the numbers, as you can see for the podcast listeners. Currently, we're looking at their application for the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. All these numbers are redacted still. That means they want to keep it, or keep it from the public, or will only publish it later on. And that's about it. So the company, in terms of general structure, looks quite interesting. Bitmain IPO. If you want to participate in an IPO, it depends on the country you live in, on the bank you're working with. Normally, you have to have something between 100K and 500K in terms of assets. But if you're interested in that, you can look it up or kind of call your local bank and discuss how this would be possible. With that, guys, we're already at the end of today's episode. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.